I'm going to be taking you through the exact funnel that Matt Gray is using to make $4 million a year. He makes roughly around $350,000 a month. Obviously, that depends on how well that month goes. However, he makes roughly around $4 million a year from this one funnel. Matt Gray is huge across multiple platforms, especially on X, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. He has a company at the moment called Founder OS, and that's what the main funnel is. That's what the main driver is for his revenue at the moment. So we're just going to go over that, and then I'll teach you exactly what you need to be doing to copy his funnel. I'm going to go over the couple points down at the bottom, which are going to be talking about exactly how you can copy him and implement his key conversion techniques. Now, to quickly start at the top, he's got Threads or X Threads, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Longform. These are all major drivers for his business. As you can see here, Longform, he roughly in 90 days gets around 1.4 million views. On Longform educational content, that is really, really good. Educational Longform content is really key for building connection, to teach people, to provide a lot of value first. Instagram is mainly where he pulls in views. His top performing videos have all been these kind of graphic Adobe Effects videos that do very, very well. However, he has shifted away from that now to more front-facing stuff where it isn't without his face. Having a face in a personal brand is key. And I've actually seen a couple of guys make this mistake where this kind of style does very, very well. This kind of graphic Adobe Effects style does do very well. It gets views. However, views do not equal followers. Views do not equal connectiveness with your audience. However, these style where he has his face, he shows real life, he shows his day-to-day life, those really grab attention in terms of actual audience, right? Compared to those that just grab views, and that's really it. It's meaningless views. That's what you don't want. You really, no matter your follow count, no matter the content style that you're creating, put your face in it, connect with your audience. It's the biggest thing that you need to be doing when you're actually building a personal brand. Threads or X Threads, however you want to look at it, is very, very good. He has grown so much on X and it does very, very well. If you're not on X already, I highly recommend getting on there. Just talking in general about what you're doing, be very genuine. X works well just with genuine authenticity to show what's working, how it's working, and kind of what you're doing. He's done very well in teaching people on X where he does long-winded threads, which do very, very well. You can honestly pump these out with AI. You want to be careful with that, of course, because X, as I said before, it's really genuine stuff. So people can tell if it's AI or not. So you want to be very careful with that. However, he does very, very good threads, which drive a lot of value back to his main funnel. Then he obviously has YouTube Shorts, which is just like Instagram, where it's just showing calendar screenshots, just showing proof, lifestyle, work balance, tips, etc. All that kind of stuff is going to work well in short form to drive views to his main platforms, which are YouTube and Threads or X. Then he captures leads through either a personal brand scorecard or a presence playbook, which is his newsletter. Now, his newsletter is a pretty big killer. He has a lot of people on his newsletter. 170,000 founders have signed up. So this is a really good position to be in. So you want to always be building an email list. That's like the key thing for running any kind of funnel. You don't necessarily have to build an email list as such, but you do want to get some way to contact your leads, whether that be their name, their phone number, or their email. So it's either email or phone number. It's really up to you. A lot of people like to just go with email. It's a much cheaper alternative to being able to do SMS. SMS can cost you a lot of money. If you need people to call them, etc., that costs money on your top line. So a lot of people, especially if you're starting out, start out with getting your emails. Start with getting their name and their emails. In return, they get a very valuable newsletter. Make sure to sell your newsletter. A lot of people I don't see actually sell their newsletter. Like he's actually selling it here, right? He's literally saying here, build trust, share your expertise, stay visible. That is a reason you should be watching his newsletter and kind of signing up, as this is a front for his actual newsletter. This is a content GPS framework, which he gets people to get access to if they put in their name and email, which opts them into the newsletter, which is part of the newsletter. So that's another thing. He literally sells his newsletter to people, which is a free thing, right? Which you don't see many people do. But you need to be selling your newsletter, as people are competing nowadays for your email, for your phone number, etc. Right? So you need to be competing with other people who are asking the same thing of your leads. You want them to move their attention to you. So you need to be selling your newsletter. He sells his newsletter by this content GMS framework, which is some PDF thing you can create easily. And it's so replicable, it just does it for everyone, right? But it's selling the newsletter. It's actually selling people to hop on the newsletter, put in their email for a reason. So you really need to be doing that with your email list. Sell your email list. Another one I did a video on with James Smith. He really sells his newsletter by doing every day. I'm going to send you valuable business tips every single day for 30 days. And that's his main focus for the newsletter. And it really sells his newsletter. It's not like, oh, just come and opt into my newsletter. You might get some here, you might get some there, you might get some valuable tips. No, you really want to sell your newsletter. Give people a reason to open your newsletter. And that's led to, it says 142 here, but it's really 170,000 founders at the moment, and a 45% open rate, which is pretty good. He also has a personal brand scorecard, which is along with his apply questions. So when you kind of want to opt in to whatever he's selling on his website, he has application questions or a personal brand scorecard where you answer questions and then he'll qualify you. These are the main ones that I took screenshots of, which is what is your business holding you back the most, and what's your business total revenue, as well as how many hours you're putting into your business weekly. These are all very good questions which are going to qualify you into certain buckets. You always want to create buckets for your leads depending on how many leads you're getting. You're going to have leads that are qualified, not qualified, in between, etc. If you have setters, you have closers, if you have different multiple offers, you should add conditional logic to them to push them down different sequences. Now this can get pretty complicated, but I want to keep it pretty simple for the average person. I would not bother too much with conditional logic and putting them into different buckets, etc. I would just have it, if they aren't qualified, push them down maybe one route where it's email sequences that push them to a low ticket product. If they are qualified, get them to book a call straight away, get them to upsell straight away, get them on a certain buy straight away. Most of the time you'll find people in between. There's people that are ready to buy instantly. Make sure you take advantage of that. Make sure it's not slow. Make sure someone doesn't put, I'm earning 500K, I'm spending less than 20 hours and my profit margins are insane. Make sure you have an option to get them on a call straight away, get them selling straight away, get them sold straight away. However, for those people that aren't that qualified, push them down a simple email sequence. Maybe sell them to something cheaper that they can buy. And as they improve, as they evolve, then you can add something later on to upsell them. But the main thing is don't make your questions too short. Use these questions as objective handling as well. It's very good. So for example, they're asking what is holding your business back the most. That gets the person who's filling out the application to think, what is holding me back? What is issues with, like, what's my current issue right now? And the more they answer these questions, the more they're going to ask themselves, what am I doing wrong? And they're immediately going to associate this fix to what you're doing if your content is good and if your funnel is good enough. So it really needs to make sure that your wording is really aligned with everything across all your socials, across all your websites, all your funnels. Your wording needs to be very aligned and very true to what you're actually offering them, as that way there's going to be no confusion and people are going to associate whatever their problems are with you, which is the main thing in the application process. Again, pretty simple. He's obviously targeting people who are in the 9 to 5, or not even necessarily 9 to 5, but more just putting hours and hours into their business. And realistically, they fell into this trap of, it is kind of the 9 to 5 trap where maybe they do have a 9 to 5 and they also got a business, maybe have a business, but it's some physical business or a business where they're doing so many hours a week. And the whole goal of this is going to get them to think, well, there is guys that are doing less than 20 hours a week, but I'm doing 80 hours. How can I fix that? So all these questions is objective handling. They're getting them to ask questions that lead to actually ask themselves questions like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And if your copywriting and your wording is aligned with everything, then people associate whatever their issues are now to you being the fix. So that's something to keep in mind. For the smaller guys, literally just have a simple couple questions that really get the lead to think about what they're doing wrong and why you're going to be the solution. Then, as I said, so you've got the newsletter, which is doing quite well. Sell the newsletter, which is key. Then they've got application questions, get your lead to think about what they're doing wrong. Just give them a bit of a journey along the application, and it's pretty simple. Name, email, maybe even phone number if you want to. Then they want to nurture them. So for the people, as I said, you can add conditional logic that if someone selects high on the kind of application questions, they get pushed down a certain route where they can buy instantly. For the people who aren't that qualified, they get pushed down a lower tier, which is maybe trying to sell them on a low ticket product. So what they do is they push to a email sequence, which is pretty simple. It's a content treadmill paint, which is a really good thing that they're doing, which talks about the pain of constantly creating content, constantly being on that treadmill of creating content and content and content, but getting no leads and not being worth it. And that's what he's really leaning into, because obviously Matt is big on personal brands. A lot of personal brands fall into that trap of constantly creating content, constantly trying to pull in leads. His whole idea is to create a system around this, create a system where you push out content, you get X amount of leads in return, which is interesting to see. So he talks about this in his email sequence for these people that fill out the application questions. Even if they are in the newsletter, now they're going to get put into an email sequence that really hammers into, you are struggling with content, you are on a content treadmill, this is really painful for you. Here is how my system are going to solve your issue. He's going to show all these screenshots, he's going to show what he's got results for his other clients. What are the founders that have actually got crazy results? He's going to show them. So that's what you want to do with every email sequence. Every email sequence you do, you really want to be talking about what are their current pains? How can you solve them? What's their dream state? What is your system? What's your solution going to do for them? And also show proof, show other people, show case studies, show interviews with other clients that have done very well. That's going to help the sales process so much. Then they also have an SMS, which I said some people do, some people don't. For on the higher end, when you're doing quite well, definitely lean into SMS. It's great. You're obviously going to get better returns on SMS than email. However, can get expensive, especially depending on how many leads you have, different countries, etc. However, they just have SMS, which improves their show by around 11%, which is really good. If you've got the money to spend, it is really worth it. However, at the start, just focus on email. Then they have a Tripwire, which is basically just something to get them in the door, which is a mini course, $150 mini course for whoever completes it. Doesn't really matter. They Tripwire it into a $150 mini course, which includes a template and an 80-minute crash course. That is $150, and that is just an easy add to the top line revenue for literally no effort at all. All Matt has to do is film an 80-minute crash course, give them a Notion template, and that's done. So what these kind of products also do, especially as a Tripwire, they really give you the first taste of buying something from someone. So if you have a simple low ticket product, you want to make that as high quality as possible. Because realistically, nowadays a lot of people think, or some people used to think, that low ticket products don't mean anything. They're just cheap. It's just a bit of trash you can provide to your audience. However, nowadays there's so much competition in the market. A lot of people may have the money, but where do they want to allocate that money? There's so many creators and so many people offering different things. However, your low ticket is this example for people. Your low ticket is actually an example of your high ticket. So you need to make sure your low ticket is super high quality. If your low ticket is super high quality, then that really sets precedent for the rest of your offers. And that gives a great example. As nowadays, these low ticket offers, they're taste tests. This $150 mini course is a taste test of the value that they could be getting if they bought. So if Matt's is really high quality, if the course is super valuable, if the template is very, very useful to them, then they're going to be more likely to actually go through the sales process, show up and buy instantly. So this is a really good Tripwire, but you really need to be careful that you're not making a bad low quality product. It's not some ChatGPT PDF thing, right? It's an actual high quality thing that someone can use and really get value from. As they're going to spend the money, they're going to be, this is the first example of them spending money on you. You want it to be really high quality. You want it to be an amazing experience. And if they really like this, they see it's a super high tier experience, they're going to be much more likely to buy later on. Then we've got the sales process. So what they do is they push you to a 14-minute Loom style VSL, which again shows his calendar. He says, this is how much time I have. I work a couple hours a day and this is how much money I make. He talks about his client results. Again, this is very, very good stuff. As proof, client results are the biggest things in VSL, especially just to show this is what this person got. This is exactly how they did it. And then for his calendar proof, that's just talking and leaning back into, I'm a creator, I only work these amount of days, I make so much money. When he's targeting creators who are on a content treadmill that are getting hours and hours and hours and hours of work a day for literally no money at all, and they're just on this treadmill. So by showing his calendar, he has probably showing other people's calendar as well. This founder went from packed in his calendar to now look at his calendar now, and he works these amount of days a week, but he's also making this much money. So showing real proof, showing real results is going to be the best way to build credibility and authority instantly. And that should be the main focus of the VSL, as well as talking about the pain point of that person and what their dream state would look like, which is showing off the results of the clients. After this, they're pushed to a Typeform, which I couldn't get access to as that's behind obviously not a paywall, sorry, like the sales process. But they have a Typeform. Again, it's going to be very simple, similar to this, where it qualifies their revenue. It talks about their goals and their bottlenecks, so that when they get pushed to their audit call, their setter, closer, or whoever's showing up on the call, they know that this is what the issues that this lead has. So that's something that you want to be doing. You're really going to improve your sales calls the more you know about the lead. You don't want a lead to go from watching a VSL to hop on a call. You have no clue what's wrong with them at all. They could have any issues. And the more time you spend trying to find those issues, that's time wasted on these calls. So you want to qualify them, get as much information before the call while still keeping it pretty low friction. So obviously 6 questions, not that bad. They've already been through the VSL. I would do VSL then questions. If you do questions then VSL, that's just adding more friction before they've actually sat down and watched the VSL and really got motivated. But if you do the VSL before, they're like, wow, this guy's getting so many results. This is such my issues. I'm really having problems with this. they're going to be much more likely to fill out the Typeform later. So always do Typeform after VSL, in my opinion. This Typeform is going to give the person hopping on the call the most amount of information. You need the most amount of information so you can be bang, quick, straightforward, know exactly how to take this call, how to frame this call, and exactly what to do, as this person is going to literally tell you exactly what their issues are. It's going to be a much easier sell. At the start, I highly recommend the person running the offer, like yourself, as you're the creator, hop on the calls yourself, get to really know your audience, get to really know the people showing up in your calls, get to really know what their issues are, and it's going to help you craft a lot better offer in the future as well. So their core offer is an 8-week cohort, around 3.5 paid in full, or 3 of 1.3K. It's on Circle. Again, Circle is huge with the guys who are actually running large, high quality offers. Circle's a really good one. Highly recommend that. Does a bunch of workshops, pretty simple. It's going to be a cohort. Get off the treadmill. He's going to give them the exact systems. He's going to give them the resources. There's going to be workshops going over. Well, I think workshops just on that is very, very good. A lot of people say, oh, hop on a call. And it's just you and $300 odd people sitting on a call, no cameras, no talking, listening to one guy talk for an hour. That is, you might get some value from it, but the real value comes from workshops. And that's where it's heading. So lean into making a super valuable kind of call where everyone gets interacted. Split the call into like 20 groups of say 20, groups of say 10, where everyone's talking, everyone's interacting. That's one, going to increase the value because everyone's going to get value from each other. And really, it's no work from you. You just have to get people talking. If you can be the person getting these people in the room together, you don't even have to provide any value at all because the value is going to come from each other and they're going to talk, which means they're just going to be more active in the community. They're going to build better relationships, which again is going to create the whole cohort, give them much better experience, and it's going to lead them to ascend much better and also leave better reviews and case studies later on. So after this 8-week cohort, for Essential model, pretty simple again. Very, very simple. It's literally they push to a mastermind, which is around 10K a year, which is quarterly retreats and hot seats. Quarterly retreats, to be fair, that'd be kind of expensive, so it'd be interesting to see how many people actually they have in the mastermind. But pretty simple. Essential from this is a mastermind, or again, pretty simple, they'll set up the content system for you. They will set up 18K plus rev share, agency built systems, very simple. A lot of people do this with like kind of creator-led funnels. Is the creators that do quite well and have a good audience, they will implement into a done for you service, which is basically what's their agency. They obviously charge 18K setup. If they've already paid in full over here and they're getting results, 18K isn't going to be too much. It's only set up. Then they get rev share on the back of that, which is even more money for Matt and his company. And it's obviously very easy to kind of set up those systems. And it's very replicable, as you can see from all my videos on funnels. A lot of them are very similar. Obviously, it's the small things that make the difference, but it's really pretty easy to set up a bunch of funnels and really get the core structure of that, which is what this done for you is going to be. And they charge a pretty good price for that as well. And then in terms of the testimonials, it's just a simple proof loop. They do similar things to Ali Abdul, where they do vlogs, they do student day off content where the students will post content, they'll have a hashtag. So good for social proof. The more you can get the people in your cohort to talk about on social media, the more social proof that is. It's social proof of them risking basically their own credibility by talking about your product on their social media is going to be much better than them putting a testimonial or a video testimonial on your page, which could be influenced. Like a lot of people, they trust it, but they're going to trust it more if it's coming from this creator putting it on their page, risking their own credibility talking about your product, which just shows how good your product can actually be, and then it's repurposed across all the platforms, which then all leads back into awareness. So it's a pretty simple funnel, really high quality, really simple one funnel, which is very, very key. Now, how can you stand out like Matt? Wrap your offer in a dual promise that solves growth and lifestyle pain. What Matt does is he solves two problems, which is the lifestyle of not having enough time. You don't have enough time, you're on the content treadmill, but you also want to grow. He solves this. So he's made this offer unique. It's not just a social media growth offer. It's not just a lifestyle offer. It's both. It's getting you the lifestyle and the growth, which are two things that don't really seem to go hand in hand if you think about it. But when you actually think about it and you actually do real work on it, it is possible, and that's what Matt gets you. So wrap your offer in multiple promises. Like create a highly unique offer. Try to take different parts of stuff that wouldn't really go together and merge them and really find the intersection there, and you're going to get a lot of people into this offer, as it's going to be kind of a new offer that sounds really good but also is really good, as it takes two things, three things that don't necessarily seem to work together and creates an offer around it. Then use a personalized scorecard instead of another PDF. A lot of people are doing this nowadays where it's just a question, it's a calculator. It's saying, for a finance guy, it's saying, calculate your credit score, calculate your loan, calculate your debt, whatever it may be. But those scorecards are much more interactive and for results, they have to put in their email and their name to actually get the results back. So that's why this works. So the scorecard is very good because it's interactive. A PDF, something they read, probably done by ChatGPT, but a scorecard is something they can use, something they can see results with, and it creates much more of a diagnosis as well as much more engagement, which is going to help you in the sales process. Then make student deliverables market the program. All these students that come into your thing, make them make content on your project. Make them create shorts on what it was like for the masterminds. Get them to talk about what that looks like. Like literally, for the masterminds, they create a bunch of vlogs. They do all these hashtags, getting people to talk about their content, post about their content. And it's really good. Social proof, as I kind of touched on before. So that's a really good thing you need to be doing, is using your students as social proof to put in their own social medias. Then the last and most important one, strip the funnel. Have one link, one video, one call. All these buyers, especially the ones with money, which Jeremy Haynes talks about, if you are targeting people with money, make sure it is quick. It is low friction. You want these people to buy instantly. They have the money. They want to buy. They don't want to mess around with 15 different little things, right? They don't want to opt in, pay a little thing here, pay a little thing there, opt in again. They want one simple funnel, one link, one video that tells them exactly what the system is, how you can help them out, and they want to buy instantly. So for people who you're targeting with money, whether that be creators, fitness, health, wealth, whatever the niche you are in, if you're targeting people with money, make sure it's simple, high quality, and very easy to buy and low friction. So that's the most important thing. So this has just been a quick video teaching you what to do and how to copy Matt, as well as what his funnel looks like. He does very well for himself and his company. So I hope you guys found some value from this video in some way, shape, or form. If you have any questions for me at all, hit me up on X. My DMs are always open. If you want to work in my agency where we help you make more money as a content creator by building out all these systems and funnels and helping you hack your actual growth, then book a call below to chat with myself. And apart from that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.